Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Ken, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a Thursday night edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're always here on the Borders and Borders hotline, so you can call it at 412-575-2600. And we have a lot to get into tonight, and we'll begin with the Penguins, who officially wrapped up their season. You won't see many guys now until probably September, and who knows which of these guys will be here and which won't. Jim Rutherford made it sound as if he was very displeased about what went on this year, given, what they had brought in. We have a lot to talk about. We invite you to call us. As you know, the number 412-575-2600. Also tweet at KDPomp, at Paul Zeise. Paul Zeise of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, 93.7 The Fan. The Paul Zeise Show, trending in 70s music, is here. And Paul, let's talk about this a little bit, because situation is Jim Rutherford. I thought he said a lot of interesting stuff. He's very candid, number one. Number two, he didn't like the way, and I thought he would say this eventually, this team had not come together as a unit, but I didn't expect him to say from day one. I mean, we're talking day one, and he had this, which might explain why there were so many trades. The Hagelin trade, bringing in Pearson, doing little things here and there. He was looking for something that he could never find.
Yeah, and I thought, he was really critical of his team today, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he was
for the most part,
very
yes.
critical of their lack of chemistry. He was very, very critical of the fact that he thought maybe some of the stars or, the veterans were a little bit too comfortable and content and didn't have that same edge and hunger that they had a couple of years ago when they won the Stanley Cups. He was very critical of the way that they approached things against the Islanders. He was very critical of the fact that they were outplayed and everything by the Islanders. So he left very little to the imagination. I would just say that it is really up to him now to fix it. Like this offseason, to me, everyone's talking about Sullivan and all the other guys that are, maybe going to be gone, Kessel, this, that, and the other thing. To me, Jim Rutherford, if he doesn't get it right this offseason, this has got probably, to me, it's got to be the end.
Of what?
Of Rutherford.
No, he just signed a 3-year contract.
I'm talking about if he does, say whatever he does over the offseason. If they don't get it right next year, if there's another flame-out, and it's a flame-out because there's a lot of chemistry issues and there's some players that don't fit together, all that stuff, to me, you cannot. This is now 2 off seasons in a row where he's made probably a lot of more bad decisions than he's made good.
Well, I think there was an issue of physicality that he wanted because he saw the NHL ignoring what had gone on with Crosby, the Mark Stahls over the years, the Tom Wilsons taking liberties, and he wanted to do something about it because they weren't enforcing the rules. So that's why he started with the Ryan Reeves trade. I get what you're saying, but he's not going anywhere, and I think it would take a lot for Mike Sullivan to go someplace.
Well, I don't think Mike Sullivan, but my point is, you don't get a lifetime contract, especially in the NHL. But, I'll give you a great example. The Jack Johnson contract alone is enough to get a general manager fired. Now, it wouldn't.
But I thought he played well.
Yeah, but
82 games,
what did the coach
started badly.
I thought he was very mediocre for most of the season. But here's the other part of it. What did the head coach think of him? In game 1 of the playoffs, what did the head coach do?
And then he immediately went right back to him when he didn't think much. When you have a 24-year-old defenseman like Ole Mata who's scratched, I have to scratch my head because – a lot of people look at Mata and they want to say what they want. I think he's a fundamentally sound guy. Listen, they don't have the speed they once did. I think that's one area they're going to have to correct on the back end. Good Branson, nice player. Also, Johnson and Mata specifically don't have the speed to move the puck maybe the way they want. But, we'll see how it goes. I still think, the hardest part of this offseason, Paul, for me will be how are you going to move guys who, number one, have no trade clauses, and number two, have huge contracts. Because if you get a team to take that contract, most likely they're not going to get the value in return that you would want for a player of that magnitude. So it's going to be a very tricky situation.
And it's funny, you look at some of the deals we thought were great deals when they were signed. Like Patrick Hornquist's deal, that doesn't look so great right now.
No, 5 years was a lot, and at the time you had to do it because he was a core piece.
There's no question. I'm just saying now it looks like, he's probably, I don't want to say damaged goods, but he could be, with his concussions and all the other stuff and the way that he plays. Those kind of players, usually, they fall off the cliff pretty quickly. It's like their body just breaks down and gets to a point where they can't play the way they. So, you add that and you add Jack Johnson's contract. Now you're looking at $8 or $9 million or whatever it is combined that you've gotten two guys that I don't know really are going to help you that much going forward.
We'll have to see how it goes, but it will be interesting, and it certainly will be the longest offseason the Penguins have had since 2006. That's the earliest exit they've had since that time. It's been a tremendous run, and can it continue? It will depend on what happens in this offseason. We have a lot to get out. So call us, 412-575-2600, if you would like to opine about the Penguins and their future. Also, the Pirates coming home 10-6, looking good, but they looked good early last year too, and then things changed dramatically. However, the pitching has been consistent. If it remains that way, I think they're going to have a decent team, at least one to contend for a wild card. We'll talk about it all coming up. Plus, we have the NFL draft next week as well to get into day by day. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Pittsburgh CW back with your calls right after this. The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, celebrating 25 years as Pittsburgh's #1 home exterior expert in roofing, siding, windows, and gutters, where honesty and integrity still matter.